For someone who's trying this for the first time and hearing about it for the first time, and believe it or not, there are people that are hearing about it for the first time. How do you get into that frequency? I know you talked about the stepping into that believing, that belief that you are this person that you want to be. But how do you get to that level of frequency? And you also mentioned meditation. What else can people do?
Well, I think the first thing that I had to realize as someone who's had a very traumatic life, and again, I don't really like to talk about my past that much because it's not real. Everything's now, and those are just imaginal acts. But I will say, if you're someone who's cleaving to that old story, you need to go through a process of nervous system regulation. If you are in fight or flight and fear and anger and shame and guilt, it's going to be very difficult for you to take on your dream life. So I had to not only just clean up my diet, get all the chemicals out of my house, meditate on a daily basis. I did Reiki, I did spinal energetics, I did breath work. I did things that got me out of old Jordan and the way that he would react to certain situations. And that's the first step I always say to people. That would be your number one priority. The second thing I would say is in all of this, you almost have to act a little bit delusional. I mean, we're taught to shrink ourselves. We're taught that humility is a virtue, but it's really actually not. Because if you look up the definition of humility, it's actually a lowering of one's self importance. And if you are going to be this greatness, if you're going to be this person that gets out there, famously Serena Williams and Taylor Swift's parents have both said that when they were very young, they both said, I'm going to be the greatest in the world. And it all came out. But we are taught, shrink that, Jackie, be realistic about what's out there. And I'm saying, no, there is no limitation. You can move into any infinite reality that you want to. And I don't believe in a level of humility. Obviously, I don't believe in being arrogant. There's a difference.
Yeah.
Don't ever shrink yourself. Don't ever think that there are circumstances outside of you that are going to determine if you're successful. That's not how the world is set up. That's not how quantum physics is set up. It's set up in a way that you have to start living like the new character, the new person. So one of the examples is to get my streams up on Spotify. I didn't pour a bunch more money into Facebook ads. I was running them. I started walking around like there were paparazzi. I started walking around having fake phone calls with my manager about my tour. And I actually was doing less marketing, and my monthly listeners went up 60,000 people in about 3 weeks
Oh,
because I was living in the new reality. I was shifting in the new reality. And so it's an internal game, and part of this is rejecting victimhood. It's rejecting that there are other people holding you down in a certain way. I mean, I'm guilty of that as a gay guy. So many years people were like, there's no opportunities for you, and I found a way to make them. And I really tell people, you are so much more powerful than you realize. And don't listen to what other people say to you. This is not a game of hustle in business. People think if I just grind it out and work more hours. No, it's a game of alignment. You need to align with the new version of you and let the opportunities naturally come to you from the universe instead of running around like a chicken with your head cut off, trying to force things in constriction and make them happen, which is the antithesis of how this all works.